Hi, I'm making this video because I have a friend who's in the Neocatechumenal Way. He hasn't talked to me in a while and he stopped contacting me, and I'm worried about him, and he sounded kind of sad the last time I spoke to him. As far as I know, this is the only video on YouTube in English that is willing to take a look at the negative aspects of this religious movement. The Neocatechumenal Way is a Catholic religious movement founded in the 1960s by Spanish painter and flamenco guitarist Kiko Arguello and Carmen Hernandez, who is an ex-nun and who has a PhD. The Way was started as an attempt to clean up the Spanish ghettos and shantytowns and to convert the poor people to Christian lifestyles. The Way moved to Rome early on in its existence, and it's now based in Italy. Kiko says it's helped get many people off drugs and has repaired marriages, and it's turned out a large number of priests and nuns from its seminaries. But unfortunately, there's a lot of bad stuff going on under the surface, and I think this also needs to be addressed. 1. The Neocatechumenal Way misrepresents its agenda and even its identity in an attempt to get members. You might go to Mass on Sunday and there's this ad on the church calendar for religious education classes or something like that, and it's not until you go to a few of the courses or sermons until they finally tell you who they are or what they're about. And also, you have to finish one course to know what lies ahead in the next course. 2. The Neocatechumenal Way pushes its own agenda on the local parishes. It rudely ignores local customs and church laws. It also pressures priests to join in or support it, and when they do, these priests end up ignoring the needs of their own church members who aren't part of the Neocatechumenal Way. The Way events are often purposely planned to coincide with the regular parish events, so churchgoers have to end up choosing sides, and this creates a lot of conflict, and there have been a lot of complaints about that. And if the churchgoer doesn't choose the Neocatechumenal event, then he's pretty much told that he's unchristian or he's talked down to. 3. It preys on people who are at a hard time in their lives, such as, drug addicts, prostitutes, and people who have been going through breakups or divorces. And basically, the member invites the person to come and heal their wounds at one of the events. Then they wait until the member is sufficiently mentally disoriented, and they kind of end up progressively getting more and more intense. Then they start pushing the more negative teachings, or teachings which the general public would kind of shy away from. Members have to pass scrutinies before they can move up a level. A scrutiny is basically just a passage in which you have to pass it in order to move up. And the first scrutiny is where the member has to tell everyone his personal cross, which is his hardship in his life at the time. It could be something embarrassing, or it could be something even that's very private. He must also give up something of emotional attachment or monetary value to the group. And he doesn't know who's going to receive this object, and the person receiving it's not going to know where it came from. On the second scrutiny, members learn to renounce idols, which means anything that distracts from the group, even if it's your family or your job. And after that, the scrutinies just get more and more intense. 4. They tell members that they're inherently sinful and that neither faith nor good works can solve the problem, so what's the use? Members are made to feel really guilty about their sins, and they're even made to feel guilty about really little sins, or sins that really shouldn't be called sins. They might be asked if they've thought about sex before marriage. That's not too bad in my opinion. It's not bad such as that you should have to confess it to people or feel really guilty about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. But ironically, a lot of times the catechists, who are the local neocatechumenal authorities, and they're like the religious teachers of the group, they kind of are the actual power structure in the group, they kind of encourage people to go out and sin more because they say that it's pretty much unavoidable, so why not just be true to your nature and go sin? And this causes a lot of problems. Well, personally, I think they do this because it makes the member more dependent on the group and its teachings, and because if the member successfully stops sinning, then he wouldn't really need to pay so much attention to the way, to the Neocatechumenal Way. So that's kind of maybe why they emphasize people's, the unavoidability of sinning, because they kind of want you to sin so you can keep coming back to them to heal you. And members are kind of told that they're beasts, worms, undeserving, they're sinners, they're vile, they're evil, you can never be a real Christian. And my friend from Italy, he pretty much said the same thing. He was saying that he's a beast and there's nothing he can do. He thought he was ugly. He thought he was stupid. And he said he didn't understand why I liked him so much, because he didn't think he was so special. And there's a lot of evidence to disprove that, trust me. 5. The Way, once they successfully start influencing a member's beliefs, makes members give up their hobbies and passions because they're idols, which are things that distract from God, whose will is always equated with the Neocatechumenate. So pretty much God equals way, way equals God. And idols can be anything from painting, bicycling, movies, building birdhouses, money, or even your job or family. Just as long as it distracts from the way, it's not good. There's a story by an Italian girl named Franca Passoni, and she had a brother, Pierluigi, and he was made to give up his violin, and he was very talented on it. And he pretty much just went downhill after that. 6. Neocatechumenal obligations such as the weekly Wednesday night meetings are pretty much non-negotiable, and they must be attended even if it occurs on the same day as your mom's funeral or your visit to your grandpa in the hospital because he's in a coma. Like, if you skip the Neocatechumenal Way to go to one of those other obligations, even if it's like staying at home with your sick kid, then you're pretty much making the thing you're paying attention to an idol. If you stay home with your kid, then you're making your children an idol. If you stay with your grandfather, you're making your family an idol. And they pretty much say that if your family becomes a distraction, you should just stop communicating with them, because apparently your new family is the Way and the Way's members. And notice how they don't call it the way, they call it the Way, like it's the only way. So they pretty much don't tolerate anybody who's going to try to distract you from that. 7. The catechists don't allow members to contact friends and family if they think the person will talk the member out of staying in the group. And they tell the member that the family is Satan trying to tempt them, or that Satan is trying to tempt them through the family, or something like that. Mothers have even thrown their own children out of the house for opposing the group. Using the internet too much is discouraged, since the devil lurks on there and says bad things about the Way. Ex-members or critics of the Way are also to be avoided. Members are not allowed to tell newer members or non-members about the teachings, and they're instructed sometimes to lie about them. Even ex-members often feel bound to secrecy. This is a lot like how the Masons act, and you don't know everything about what the teachings are until you progress to like the 33rd degree or whatever.